This is Margaret Ann Windsor. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this on the stand. I don't know if I'm going to put this up or not, but I know this isn't front page news, for me anyway, like some people I know that stole everything and made my life a living hell and my children. But anyway, I really don't know if I'm going to put this up. I'm just going to kind of reminisce here, if you can call it that. I was kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Alabama. I hope the voice didn't go up on some of them. When I was 2 years old. And I'm going to skip some of the stuff there. I'm just going to try to pick out a few things here that when I think back, I was put in total poverty. You can't even call it poverty. My father's Edward VIII, and he was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin, and he never married Wallace Simpson. That was a Illuminati takedown. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys, JFK helped in my kidnapping, actually. Flew in to the embassy because President Roosevelt, another Jew, had made, well, the Kennedys are, sad to say, they're Irish. My mom was Irish. Thank God she's the good. I mean, there's... anyway, I won't say anything else about the Kennedys. I mean, what they did is sick, and I'll just leave it there because I am going to put this up. When I had to live on the Appalachian Trail just to get off the side of the road and had, nothing to eat most of the time, over the years froze and starved. Man, when you're walking around up there at the hiker's shelter, Full Heart Knob was one of them. You, in the summer, you have snakes, you have, there was a cistern there, but believe me, it wasn't. They pulled a mouse out of it when they cleaned it out once, so all kinds of stuff. But what I was thinking was around back where the cistern is, it's got cement there. And this is the hiker's shelter, and it's got big cracks in it, bottom, side, and everything. So I actually only saw one snake in there. That was tough. The tent. Well, first time I got, don't let me get lost here, going back and forth. Okay, first time I was able to get a tent, it was, oh God, I can't remember well, anyway, I can't think of the name of it. It was a pretty good little tent, and just one person, I think. Anyway, I put it up in the shelter, and people come and say, well, you can't have that in the shelter, and then they'd come and put theirs in the shelter. But anyway, the zipper had broke, or somebody, I was always having somebody do something, but anyway, the zipper broke out of it. So I was afraid Snake was going to climb up in it, because if I put it down, climb up in it or crawl up in it, if I put it down outside the shelter, well, one was sure going to come in after me. And this was up in the shelter. I put it up in the shelter. Well, I didn't have anything. I had some matches, but didn't have anything to cook with. There was a little grill there, and you could put fire under it. Wood under it, and create a fire. But anyway, I remember when the snake was up in there, somebody told me, well, maybe you can get some straight pins and put around, so at night, and pin it up, that maybe nothing will get in. So anyway, it's dark. up there. You're all alone. You don't know if a bear's going to come in or a cougar. And yeah, they did have cougars. I don't care what they say. They did have them. One lived right behind me for a long time. And somebody else was witness to that. He was with the army. I don't know what he was doing, camped out there down from me by the pond. But anyway, let me see if you can follow it. That night, I was going to get up. I didn't have a flashlight. And I was going to get up and fix me some coffee. And I had wood put up, some little pieces of wood to start the fire, and up there in the shelter with me. No flashlight, so I'm going over there. I'm blind. There's no light, and I'm going to put the wood out in the grill out there, and start me a fire and fix me a cup of coffee, make me feel better, and And I heard it crawling or whatever it was. I knew that maybe should get away from it, so I got back in the tent and I put it back up, the pins back in it. When it got daylight, I got out. And lo and behold, it was, I found it. I looked for it and I found it. It was down between the walling there. And I don't know how it got up in there. It's pretty easy, though. Somebody later said, oh, somebody put that snake up. It was copperhead. Oh, there was a broom there, and I got it out, and I got it up against the wall. But if you've ever seen a snake go, they go like lightning. So I think back about it, and I don't know how many times I almost got bit and I didn't. Anyway, the snake, I got it up against the wall of the shelter there and got it at its neck under here. And I thought, no, I got to keep this. I can't let it slip, the top of the broom. And I finally killed it. And so that's that. Then one other time was around back of the same shelter there. They had the cistern. I started to say that. I was brushing my teeth, minding my own business, and I looked, and there's this huge snake. He's about that long. No kidding, it was that long. And what do? You stand there and look at it and hope it just keeps flying on by. So anyway, that happened, and you're afraid. I was always scared to death of snakes. Well, let's see. What are some of the other? Oh, I could tell a whole bunch of them. When I first went up there, I had no food or clothing, and my hands would freeze, and even the church, when I walked down, wouldn't help me buy a pair of gloves. And one lady took pity on me, and she bought me a pair down Delville, actually. So went back up there, but in the spring, at least you could find some berries. If you look real hard, you could get raspberries, and they are good when you get them off the vine, and blackberries. Well, I was picking some blackberries right outside the same shelter, and I put my hand, it was real thick brush, and I stuck my hand down there, and I looked, and there's so many times I don't know why they didn't bite me, because this one was coiled. And I got back, and I didn't get blackberries. Somebody later, I was telling them about how many snakes I had seen, and they said, well, didn't you know this was called Rattlesnake Ridge? And I said, no, I didn't. It wouldn't make any difference anyway. I had to have a place to be other than the side of the road. Thank you, Harry and William and Kate and Elizabeth, while you live in my homes, and you have a lot of friends. Well, where did all your friends go? What's that song, Peter, Paul, and Mary, where have all the flowers gone? Anyway, I'm not doing so good right here with it, I guess. They had deers that would come up. I had some good moments. I had one where a little deer, that was when I came back from the embassy in D.C. That's when that was, and I had bought a car that I turned out to be not that good. So I didn't keep it very long. But I went to the embassy and came back, and I parked up at the Peaks of Otter near there. And I remember I pulled off the road and back in, it was a little trail and where you could go back. And I remember I woke up the next morning, and there was a mother and her deer not very far in front of me. And it was almost like, and I'm not kidding, she trusted me with her little baby deer. She left, and she came back later that afternoon, and I thought, well, that was cute. Little deer was still there. I didn't go up to it. I saw it was there. She left it and came back. So I'm not doing so good, am I? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. And, well, I'm going to tell this one. And then I really, if I could, I'd do a book on my living out there on the trail. But after I started living out there, the trail was popular, but not like that. It is now. A lot of people have done stories about them being on the trail and everything, so I guess there's too many of them out there anyway. But I can't say there were any good times if it wasn't a lightning striking all around you and you're afraid you're going to get hit. Or there was a couple times there were naked hikers, and oh man, then there was a couple that left me the $20. I was freezing, and it was night, and they hadn't even gotten really winter then up there. And I woke up, it was dark, and these two guys came in. They put the tents up, and you pray that they're not going to hurt you, you know. And it was when there's not many hikers coming through. They're almost all gone through to Katahdin up in Maine. And not coming south anymore. So anyway, I woke up, and they've got these two hikers have their lantern or something going. There's light there, and they fixed themselves something to eat. And I had my head down here, and they were sitting so that I'm looking this way. Thank God. I'm in the tent, and it's that 1 or 2 person tent, and they woke me up with the light and cooking. And I thought, no, I could see there was something like the shadow on the wall, and I think I looked up because they were making noise, and I wondered what they were doing. Then I wish I hadn't looked up. And the next morning, they said somebody gave them a $20 bill just before they got to me, and they would give it to me to help me. And I thought, well, excuse me, was that for the sideshow last night? Because it wasn't a nice thing to do. You know what I'm talking about. What they were doing to each other. Thank God it wasn't. Anyway, there was a few times that those things happened. You know, that was really mean. And I can remember being so hungry, and I'd tried to get away from the shelter because they'll complain and run you, and I'm not supposed to be anywhere, you know. Not supposed to be in shelter, not in the forest, not on the side of the road where they put me, or, you know, I'm supposed to be invisible and vanish. Just get out of their way. Remember one night, there was a couple, well, this is different, but well, I'm going to tell this. I had put the tent over in the woods, and that's where you get your snakes crawling up there, too. And I was so hungry, and I remember I could smell the fire right there, the hiker shelter, and this guy was cooking, and he was using breaking the little sticks and everything, putting it under the grill, and he come over and asked me. You could see the tent. He came over and asked me, would I like something to eat? Well, of course I was hungry. Later, I wished I hadn't, because when he got through feeding me, it was some pinto beans he had cooked, and they weren't done. And later, I ate some of them. I was so hungry. He told me that and I don't doubt it because I had looked up to see what he was doing when I heard it, and saw the fire going and everything, and he said something about, well, his nose had leaked in the pinto beans just after I ate them. Then later he went on, and later, not too much later, there was a guy come going the other way, and he passed, and he said the same guy had given him a can or two, I don't know, of tuna. So I thought, my goodness, they really like me, don't they? Then there was the time that the couple came up, and they were supposed to be FBI mom and dad. And they told me something about their son was going in and going to become an FBI agent. Anyway, I don't know if it's they were nice. They spent the night there. I can remember a few people that were nice. Yeah, but anyway, they left, and I don't know if it was a couple of nights later. It wasn't long after then that this young fella came up, and the way he talked, cryptic kind of, I thought, well, that was his parents. And he seemed really nice looking guy, about early 20s, and tall and nice looking, seemed like a polite sort. Wow. So anyway, talked a little bit that night, and I had my tent outside the shelter, so I'm on this side, and he's in the shelter. So I get up to fix me some coffee, and I'm sitting at the table, and it's right in front of the shelter. Modesty wasn't. I could hear him moving around, and I thought, well, I'm not going to look around. He was the only one in the shelter, because he might be getting out, and he might not have many clothes on or something, and there's just no need to look around at him till he gets, because he's obviously getting up for breakfast. So anyway, he said something to me, and I did look around at that time. I thought he was coming down or had gotten dressed by that time, or if he needed to get dressed. Well, he wasn't. He was standing there buck naked, and thought it was a joke. And I remember saying something to him that, well, anyway, I won't even say. No need to. I was upset, mad. I mean, there's no need for that, any of it. There were a few good people, but randomly, well, this isn't going so good. I was going to try to tell some things, but right off the cuff, it's too long, and I don't feel that great. I don't think I'll put this up. There was a lot more that happened that over the years it got really rough when the up and down the trail, and you find a dollar bill because you haven't eaten, and it's got half of it gone. And I go down to the bank, walk all the way down to the bank, and see if they will. They did give me another dollar. It wasn't quite half of it gone. And what you do for a dollar when you don't have anything to eat, or you can't reach out for anybody to help, except a few times the person I've spoken about in the past on videos. And then there was Robert that, well, he worked for he was a Fed and a Marshal. So he would come a few times, but then there were some things happened there that, and nobody wants to hear this, but I have an autoimmune disorder, and I'm allergic to chemicals, and I get really sick. And if I'm not around